Good evening, everyone. My name is Mercier. I am a senior at Washington College this year. I'm the former president of BSU, and I'm really pleased to see how much people have come out tonight, whether it's community members, faculty, staff, community leaders. As many of you know, since October, there have been 5 hate crimes that have occurred on the Washington College campus. Today, we show up here to share the impact that this has made on the Black students within our community. Let's start at the beginning, where there was a cancellation of the play on campus, which many of you may remember. From all different corners of Kent County, including media and those commenting on newspaper articles, Black students were being told to go somewhere else if they felt unsafe, and that the college wasn't a place for safety. This was the start of a heightened sense of fear for all Black students and other students of marginalized populations. It wasn't too long before someone acted on that hate that they had expressed. Sorry, I lost my place. Since that first incident that was committed against students in October, Black students have had to maintain a heightened sense of awareness when walking to and from any part of our campus once the sun goes down. There's a shared sense of trauma that has occurred within our community. Our anger and frustration that we are experiencing doesn't end with the things that we've personally experienced at Washington College, but it extends to the students in the high school. For the past 3 years, I have been working with a group of amazing students that have been speaking out and presenting on the hate that they are receiving continually without end. Just this past week, as I sat in a meeting with a student, I had to fight back my own tears from failing as an advocate. We have all failed as advocates. There are administrators of schools and those that should be representing the students, even if there's only one that's in danger, that have failed those that are depending on us. It shouldn't take incidents like this of hate to address the race and hate in our community. Incidents of race are not a problem that is just solely incubated on the campus of Washington College. While these incidents at the college are worthy of discussion, the incidents that are happening daily in our public schools deserve that same attention. Today, we are not here to point the finger at the community. We are here today to express the need of collaboration among the college students, and the local community. Having worked in this community, I understand that there are some relationships that we've done a good job at working on, and some of those relationships that we can do a better job at working on. So us as students, we are willing to advocate for these ideas, to build the relationships here. There's a lot of work to be done, and it cannot happen without all of our hands and minds together. We cannot keep putting the children on the front lines to fight this battle on their own. It's time as adults that we all step in to protect them in the ways that they deserve to be protected. We implore the school system to listen without already having an answer. We implore the college to continue to open their doors to the idea of building bridges with the local schools to reconcile the crimes that have been committed. And we implore all of those in attendance to stand with us as we do this. We all deserve safety. If you're here because you recognize your privilege in this conversation, then please use that privilege to advocate for the needs of those that may not have that same privilege. Thank you.
We're not here to be casting blame. We're not here to look at anybody in particular. We were here to, first off, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to the county commissioners. Thank you to the police. Thank you to the sheriff, because we're all in this together. I thought, Reverend Oliver, you just said something that I was going to point out. I've been here 3 years as president of the college. This just didn't start happening. This has been happening the entire 3 years that I've been here. Drive-bys, people in pickup trucks screaming at our students. This is not something that just occurred. It just has heightened. And as our wonderful student Parrish just pointed out, it started to heighten after we had to cancel that play. So again, I'm not here to be critical of anybody. I'm here to thank you. And I want to remind you of something that the mayor talked about. So we've been together, the college and Chestertown have been together, arm in arm, since 1782. When something good happens at the college, like building the buildings down here on the waterfront, it's a good thing for Chestertown. And when something bad happens at the college, it's a bad thing for Chestertown. We are one and the same. We're not separate entities. The thing I care about most is the safety of our students. Because as I told our faculty today, here's my greatest concern. When these things start to escalate, it's not a long jump from words to physical violence. And that scares me beyond anything else. Because safety of our students is my #1 concern and has been since I've come. You're a partner for us. We need to make this a desirable place. And the mayor talked a little bit about the whole role of Washington College as being part of economic development. So here's the deal, folks. Today, unlike 5 years ago, we have almost 20% of our student body who are persons of color. And we've made a real effort at the college to diversify this campus. And if we're going to grow, and I think you all know we've been having some enrollment issues and things at the college, if we're going to turn it around, we got to face the fact that the cohort of people who are applying to colleges like Washington College is increasingly persons of color. I'm going to tell you a real quick story and then I'm going to sit down. We had an admissions event on Saturday, a very good one. And the parents got up to ask questions. And almost all of the questions were, how can you assure me that if I send my son or daughter here, that they will be safe? Because they have other places they can go. And if the college doesn't thrive, Washington College doesn't survive. And this city will not be the same place 5 years from now. So I also just want to close with just saying, where's Dr. Couch? Okay. I also want to thank Dr. Couch. Dr. Couch has been a wonderful partner for me since I've been here. We can talk about anything. We're partners in this. You heard what Paris had to say. I really appreciate everything that you have done. So this is, the mayor always wants to have a big crowd. Well, he got one tonight. So that's great, and I really appreciate all of you being here. The final thing I would say to you is, let there be no mistake. Washington College itself has got work to do. This isn't just an external problem. We have some issues at Washington College that we have to deal with. Because if we're going to make this safe and caring for all of our students, it's not just the city of Chestertown or the county, Kent County, it's Washington College and how we deal with people. So thank you all for being here, and thank you for your concern. It's heartening to see all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for an opportunity to speak to you this evening. I'm very interested tonight in listening to the conversation because I think it's incredibly important to the public schools and to the community at large. The administration and the Board of Education remains committed to the safety and well-being of our students. And that is why we assume responsibility for anything in our schools that provides our students with that feeling of unsafe environment. We do not condone or excuse any form of racism or bullying in our schools, and we remain committed to investigating reports made to the administration. I agree it was very disappointing to learn about the incident at Washington College, but I also agree with Reverend Tolliver. It was an opportunity for us to examine all of our institutional practices and the things that we're doing in our schools, and what can we do better. And I'm not going to stand up here and say that we can't do things better, because we can. Law enforcement has not shared the names of those individuals who were apprehended, and we have not been told in terms of what the status is. But that does not excuse them for their insensitivity and their racist behaviors. Kent County Public Schools will continue doing our best to address unacceptable behavior that impacts the safety of our schools. We are including, and we will continue with our work in cultural competency and educational equity. However, it's important to note that it's going to take everybody in this room to work together to make things better and to have a long-lasting effect in our community. Finally, the Kent County Public Schools continues to pledge our commitment to partnering with the community and to work diligently to create a climate of tolerance and acceptance for every student who enters our doors. regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, their sexual orientation, disability, or economic status. So thank you for allowing me just to say a few words. And I just want you to know that the position of KCPS is we will continue to do our very best. We know that there's areas that we need to work on, and we are truly honest in our hand and extension to the community that we want to work together. So thank you.
So my name is Robbi Behr. I'm here to speak on behalf of the public school advocacy group called Support Our Schools. First off, we want to say that we are sorry. We are sorry that this happened. We're sorry that we have not done enough, we as a community have not done enough to ensure that you feel safe and to ensure that all people of color feel safe in our community. We have not done our work. Second, we are grateful that you all are willing to stand up and to demand more from us. You are correct. Students should not be on the front lines of this fight. You have other work to do, and you should be allowed to do your work in peace and to be able to do it from a place of safety. So we feel very strongly that that was a brave thing to do. We appreciate it, and that means that the rest of us need to take on this mantle. So it's a necessary thing, and we are here to listen. Third, I want to thank everyone who did show up here tonight in the interest of coming together and making this community a safe and welcoming place for everyone. We thank you all for listening, and know that in a community as close-knit as ours, we can absolutely come together and find ways to ensure that we're all treated with respect, regardless of our differences. We know that this is hard. There's not an easy fix, otherwise we could have fixed this a long time ago. This is a long-standing problem that goes back to the beginning of this country. So we also know that everyone in this room is here right now because that we all think that this is a serious problem, right? And we all want to find a solution. We have to remember that the people who need to hear this most are actually not in this room, right? So we are all in this together. We are all allies. So please remember to treat each other as allies in this room. The people we are fighting against, the people that we need to hear this message are not in this room. So along with everyone here, we really look forward to hearing an actual a plan from our leadership that we can all get together and get behind. So finally, in closing, we just want to let you know sincerely that we at SOS promise to keep the lines of communication open. We really are interested in helping make the connections for the different community groups to work together with other community groups in order to find a better solution for this. So thank you all.
My name is Rebecca Murphy, and I am a resident of Chestertown. I have lived here mostly part-time for the last 8 years, but have recently actually put down my roots here. In the 9 years or so that I've been coming back and forth, I have personally experienced racism. It hasn't been people throwing rocks at my house. It hasn't been people driving by and saying awful things to me. But it has been persistent and unpleasant and very difficult to confront. So I want to commend the students who took it upon themselves to be activists on campus and to come in front of us and tell their stories. And I will tell you that I personally, and I can speak for my husband, will help you all in any way that we can. Because this is one of the most important things we can fight about in town. And it isn't about who's legally responsible. It's not about, just as it's not about fault. It's about the responsibility that each and every one of us, black and white, has to not just apologize, not just offer your support, all of which is great and important and necessary. But I think that it was the school superintendent and the college president who used the term ally. And one of the students used the term privilege. And I think that the most important thing that we as adults and members of our community can do is acknowledge our privilege, however it exists. Whether it's wealth privilege, or race privilege, or gender privilege. These are all things that people experience. If you don't know what I'm talking about, educate yourselves. It can't be the responsibility of people of color to educate white people. It shouldn't be. Because if you really care, you will educate yourselves. You will take personal responsibility for not just your personal behavior, but for calling out that which you see and know of. And that's something that everybody can do, whether you are elected to something, appointed to something, you know, or whether you're just walking up and down the street. Just be mindful of how your words and your actions and your attitudes and the environment around you affects people who are different from you. I love it here. I will live here hopefully for a very long time. But I think, and this is something that matters a great deal to me, and I'm thrilled to see that it matters to as many people as it does. All of that said, I just wanted to say that I appreciate what the town is doing. I appreciate that you guys called this meeting and are being so responsive. And you know me, I will put my hand up to help however I can.
Come on.
I know, I really,
Not you, but.
not me, I know, right? But we have to, the last thing I would say is, as we think about how racism is experienced, or sexism is experienced, or oppression is experienced by the people who are experiencing it, everybody who is, I think that the white community generally, not just in Chestertown, generally, has a moral obligation to acknowledge those feelings. Don't try to make yourselves feel better by saying, oh, no, I didn't do that, or oh, no, you must be mistaken, or oh, no, you don't, you misunderstood. Because it's really about how we experience it. And the only way to learn how to accept and be an ally and be an advocate is to listen and learn and accept. So that's what I got.
I want to thank you for doing this. This was really important. The leadership that the elected officials in this room are showing is something that I think the community really needs to see. The town council, the mayor, the commissioners, all of our elected officials, our state's attorney, we're showing us that you care, and that's important. It's also important for us to show some action after this, right? Because it has been going on forever. We can, all people in this room can talk about stories from the last 3 years, 10 years, 20 years. We all know the stories, we've lived through them. So now it's time to act. And I think what we at the Social Action Committee, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself, I'm Arlene Lee. We at the Social Action Committee call upon all of the electeds to engage with us to help share what we do know about what's happening in the county. We want you to join us in trainings about undoing racism. We want you to join us sincerely and work with us to help resolve some of the things that people are experiencing in the high school. And I heard your sincerity, Mr. Mayor, when you said the kids should report this, and they are. They are. Kids of color and students who are white are reporting the racism they're seeing, and they're saying that they're not getting any resolution. And we need to hear that. We need to be open to the fact that that's what they're telling us. And we need to then figure out what's wrong and what's going on and why what's happening in the schools every single day is now bleeding over into the college. Because that's the biggest problem. I heard the president say his most important goal is to keep kids safe. Superintendent said it too. These kids are sincerely telling us they do not feel safe on the Kent County High School campus. And we need to pay attention to that. And we would like to join with the community to work with you to figure out how we can make sure our students are safe. So 2 things I want to make you aware of. On the table out front, we have 2 pieces of paper. One is about an anonymous way to report acts of hate and crimes and violence and mental health problems that you see at any school. Anyone can report this anonymously to the state, and it'll be investigated. So if we have students telling us that they're reporting and they're not getting action, here is a resource for them to use. We heard last week that there were 2 incidents of very significant violence threatened against a black student at our school, and the students were too afraid to report it. So here's an anonymous resource. The second piece of paper is about the rapid response team from the Social Action Committee on Racial Justice. We will respond almost immediately to students who have problems. We'd be happy to be there. We have lawyers, we have social workers, we have a whole slew of resources that we're prepared to bring to bear. So both of those things are on the table, and we invite people to take those, and if you want more information, just let us know.
I'm Sue Caswell, and I've done a number of things in this community, including working in the public schools. And I'm so glad that everyone has come together to talk about this issue. But as a teacher, one of my responsibilities was to model. And that's what I can do as an individual. I can go up to this young man and say, "Hi, I'm Sue Caswell. I hope maybe we could have a cup of coffee someday. It would be lovely to do that. Hi, I'm Sue Caswell. I'm so glad to meet you this evening. Maybe we could sit down and have a chat sometime. Hi, I'm Sue Caswell. I'd love to get to know you a little better." Because when we bring it down to that very human level, where it's just 2 people getting to know each other better, what the hell difference does it make what color their skin is, or what their gender identity is, or anything else? Maybe they love romance novels and you only want to read history. But come together and know each other as individuals, and not as one organization or another organization or another organization. Not that they're not all important, but it's what we do as individuals that will ultimately make a difference.
My name is James Saunders. I've been in the county for 75 years. I was raised here. I went through all of the processes of the racial piece, all the way back to the 60s, the 50s, all the way through this county. I know all the stories, and I know how the blacks was treated back then, and we grew through that. Chestertown have come from 10 to 9s right now. You're gonna let these young people that's going around here getting involved with these students that want something in life to take Chestertown and turn it back to 40 or 20. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. It's not about the black and white. I'm gonna tell you a story back there in 1958. The story was where the movie was, downtown. The blacks went in one way, the whites went in the other. The blacks sat upstairs, the whites sat down. I lived on Water Street. It was a gang of us young boys. It was 6 of us. It was 5 black and 1 white. We was all, well, back then we was all tight. We was good, we was close. It's not all about black. We went to the movie. The mother gave, the white mother gave everybody a quarter to go to this movie. That's what it cost. We went to the movie, we got there, the blacks went in, the white boy that was hanging with us, he wanted to go in. They said, oh no, you can't go there. You gotta go here. He didn't want to go to the white section. He wanted to stay with his buddies. It's not about color. This is what we gotta get to get to the max of. It's not about color. It's about feelings, how your heart feels. Anyway, he went there. So we went to the movies. But one thing about it, we left the movie early for one reason, to protect him when he got out, when he come out, so that we could stand there and wait for him, because the white boys was gonna beat him up because he was with us. It's about feelings and everything. And what you're gonna have to do, where you at now, you're at a point where they are making racial remarks at them. What's the next step? Ask yourself, what's the next step? We'll be back in here again because somebody gonna be dead. So you better get on board right now and stop it now, because we'll be back here again and somebody's gonna be dead. So all I'm gonna say is I came a long ways from Chestertown, and we go through, and we're about 90. We're not 100 there, because we still have them. But you're gonna take the 90 and go back, and you're gonna be back to 50. And then something big gonna happen in Chestertown, and then you won't be able to control it. All right?
A Spanish professor in Washington College. And before we go, I just want to say two little things. One is we know that young are being radicalized. They are being radicalized in TikTok. They are being radicalized in WhatsApp. They are radicalized in YouTube. The amount of exposure that they have to radical movement is very in our face, and sometimes it's just in front of us, but we don't see it because it's an iPad or in a phone. So I just want you to keep that, to instill in your mind this very nasty idea that there are kids who are being radicalized as we speak, right now, through their phone. And we can help to de-radicalize these kids if we really get the resources. The college is right now getting the resources in reaching out to experts in de-radicalization of the youth. That is one. And the second one, and then I go, is the third person who's not here is the Hispanic population. Okay? The Hispanic population is all over Chestertown, is all over the county. They are doing the crops right now as we speak. They are cleaning houses. They are making your food. They are not here, and they won't be here because they are very scared. And this is beyond a racial issue. Okay? This is beyond just black and whites. This is Hispanics too. Okay? The people who think they are powerful enough to attack my African American students feel powerful enough to scream to the Hispanic students. They think they are powerful enough to scream at my gay students. They are powerful enough to scream at my transgender students. So they are in power right now. And it's in that way they are blind. They can really move their target to different minorities. And it's not just one. If one feels unsafe, then the rest of the community should feel very unsafe. Not just the people of color. Everyone should feel unsafe. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chanelle Murray, and I lived here as a child, but moved away to Montgomery County and Prince George's County. I had my kids, and I decided to bring my kids here for a better living. So I enrolled them in the private school. And for a while we had problems because it would seem like my child was always picked on. And I used to tell them, what is it? My child got the darkest arm, but you can't distinguish anyone else? So I started going to the school unannounced and peeping in windows, going around corners. And when I saw that my child wasn't doing anything and that several people were doing, I approached the teacher. I said, you cannot talk to my son or my daughter like that because they weren't doing anything. You just want to put them here, so you put them outside when they're supposed to be educated. I pay for their tuition. My son had problems until I had to step up. And then my daughter now is having problems. And so I told her, I said this, you tell the headmaster. And if she doesn't do anything, you let me know. Because then I'm going to have a problem. They were calling her, oh, she's black. So what she's black? So what she's black? Just like your parents are paying, I'm paying. And just like I'm getting financial aid, and it's only 1% minority at the school. So that means I'm not getting all the money, so y'all getting the money too. You know, so stop looking at my kids as if they're a token. You're a token too. And so one time I had a conversation with an intern headmaster. He was talking about my son. And I looked at him, I said, you know, it's hard being black. But it's harder being black on the Eastern Shore. I said, because they want to tell me where to live, where my kids go, what I drive, and where they want me to work. And that's not, who are you to tell me that? And I said, I lived in Montgomery County with some of the richest people, and they didn't treat me like that. I said, most of the people that have money, they didn't make it on their own. It's old money. And so if they didn't have that old money, they would be just like me, working and paying bills. And I told my daughter and my son, I said, you know what, kids, when babies are born, they know absolutely nothing. They are taught to hate. And we need to step up. And I told my kids, my daughter, that if she ever has a problem, she calls me at work. I still will be there. And then my son told me, it's been several things that's happened at the high school. But he didn't want to tell me because he didn't want me to go up there. Like something about the FFA, they stopped something and they were really heightened up. I said, well, you know what would mommy do? He said, you would drive all the way to East in rare form. I said, yeah, when I got there, I would think about what I need to say because you have to say a certain way. I'm not gonna come in there and cut up, but we're gonna do this correctly because I want my children to be safe. I want me and my family to be safe. There was an incident when Obama was going for president and they were coming in my neighborhood drawing white supremacy stuff. I looked at my husband, I said, oh, well, my grandfather was white. Do I count? I mean, because I could be on either side. He said, don't you go out there. But I don't understand, you know, and this is a small town, and I know it has a lot of history, but we are coming in, and there's a lot of people coming down from the city and across the bridge, and we don't want that. If we need, the school doesn't have a whole lot of people. We need to get our schools straight. We need to upgrade them. We need to make this city look good for the people that want to come here. You know, they're going to Delaware, they're going to Dorchester, they're going to Caroline, they're going everywhere else in Queen Anne because of our city. So we need to see what we need to do to make sure that we have people here too.
Thank you. The Bayside H.O.Y.AS. I do want to commend Chris Sereno and the town of Chestertown for stepping in front of a moving train when you didn't have to. But I think a lot of people are being too nice and we're kind of shaving over what's going on. The reason young kids are comfortable with calling brown and blacks niggers is because it's a culture here that has bred that for years. The reason nothing has changed is because the whites in this county have not got up off their ass and made a change. No high school kid should say they fear for their life. Karen Couch has heard this from the STARS kid for the last 4 years. So to pretend like there's not a problem in Kent County and like they're doing everything, that's false. The current county commissioners have said on public record they do not see racism. We live in America. It's built on race. So when you make a comment like that, you brush me down to the bottom of society, and you tell me once again I don't matter. Unacceptable on all levels. It's not up to just the elected officials. It's not just up to the school, the police. It's up to all of us to work together. But whites, you got to start leading for real. You can't benefit from your privilege, and we're constantly in here talking about race. Half of the room has already left. So what makes me think the room is going to stay here and do the work that needs to be done to make this type of change? This is the environment we live in, and this environment hasn't changed since I've been here, and hearing the guy talk, it hasn't changed in 75 years. People got to take more ownership and be more proud to be a county citizen and a person in this country who won't tolerate it. We got too many people standing in here talking political, and they're not giving any actions or solutions on what they're going to do in concrete to make a change. That's all I want to say.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Wanda Boyer, and again, I'd like to say thank you for hosting this meeting, because I can remember about 20 years ago, there was something that happened at Washington Square. So I'm glad we're going to try to nip it in the bud before that happens. But I also want to let you all know that when that happened, it was a simple fight. Some of the people allowed the town, some of the fire department, the police department, they came up there with the hoses. That was like in 1950s. You know, so let's try to get this thing before that thing happens again. Because we're going to have some serious problems. Some serious problems. And I know a lot of you white people might think that the black community don't come together, but keep on messing with the children. That's when we will show up. You know, and it'll be that same thing all over again. You know, I had to ask and think to myself, was I willing to die for a cause? I got to think about that. You know, but somebody died for me to have the opportunity to learn how to read. We cannot be stagnated. John, thank you.
You will.
Thank you for no longer sugarcoating this shit. Because this is real. It's real. And if we don't get it, you're going to have that problem. You're going to have that problem. And as much as we want to talk about some lynching stuff, we'll be lynched. We might be hanging from a tree again just because we standing for something. It's not supposed to be like that anymore. We talked about inclusiveness. When we reach out, we need you all to hold your hand out and pull ours in. I can't tell you how many times we have reached out to many of you here.
Facts.
Pull us in. If we're going to be one in the community, I started smoking weed at Washington College. We were all inclusive. Plain L Double Hill. You know, there was a moment that we seemed to have come together. Even though I'm not saying that this stuff wasn't still going on, because it was. You know, just get it together, community. Get it together. We know how to come together. You know, we're not going to be fueled by what's going on in our leadership, because we can do something about that. We just got to stick together. Some of you may be okay with it, but right here, we need to come together. And without the college, the town won't survive. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But town management, you're going to need to let some stuff go in, because after a while, people won't want to come.
All right, I just want to say this real quick. I'm Bishop Tilghman, president of the NAACP. My church has been here 20 years. I was born and raised here. I know about racism. I'm not going to waste time talking about that. It's an issue. I don't think it'll ever go away, but we got to deal with it. It's like, the best analogy I can give is a bunch of apples in a basket. You're always going to have some bad apples. And it's up to us to sort out the bad apples, because if we don't sort out the bad apples, the whole basket is going to be rotten. And right now, it's pretty stinking. I know what racism is. When I started my church, I was harassed. So I know what it is, and we're not dealing with it. I get calls all the time from school. I was just at the elementary school 3 weeks ago with an incident. We got to do more than talk. And I want to say to the Social Action Committee, I will make time to join you guys, as busy as I am. And I'm going to do whatever I can as a branch of the NAACP to work with the college. I'm going to Annapolis tomorrow night We got a meeting on the state level, then I'm gonna make the national aware of what's going on here, because it needs to stop. It don't need to get to the point where somebody gets shot, somebody get killed. I pray that that never happens. We don't need that here in Chestertown. Chestertown is a nice town. It's a good place to come and retire, but we are really not dealing with the issues. We talk about it, but we don't do nothing about it, and that's got to change. You're dealing with a different breed of young people nowadays.
Facts.
These young people, they're not gonna, so you better wake up. You got to do something. It's got to change. We got to make a difference. That's all I got to say.